whatever time you are joining us. Welcome to K&A Table, of course, where we discuss matters politics, matters governance, as well as what is happening. That is the state of the nation. Of course, to talk about Kenya, East Africa, Africa, and the world at large. Now, of course, I'm joined by Emmanuel Bosire, who helps us understand what is happening, as well as digest 1, 2, 3 things. And as usual, when you talk about matters politics, when you talk about matters governance, when you talk about the state of any nation, we want to know who did what, where, when, why, how. And of course, as usual, we have to ask how much money was spent, how much money is going to be spent, and how much money is the taxpayer going to spend more as well as less. Now, what is currently happening in Kenya? We have the bipartisan talks that are ongoing every single day. And of course, we have been seeing different proposals, different suggestions being put forward or being presented during the bipartisan talks. And today has been one full day. There's a lot going on. Now, we have the former Attorney General, that is Gideon Muigai, who, according to him, says that Parliament has too many leaders, and that suggestion is that the number of constituencies in Kenya should actually be reduced, as well as a few political seats to be scrapped. Now, let's just listen to Gideon's presentation, and then we'll be right back.
Political party representation with an input of civil society, after which they take oath of office to discharge their functions in a very professional manner. Would you support a reform of IEBC that includes the vetting of staff of the Commission in view of that finding of the Supreme Court? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Prof. You can take those ones.
Thank you very much for all of you, your kind remarks, especially His Excellency Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka, who has said very kind things about my tenure as the attorney. Those views may not be widely shared, but I treasure that compliment. Now, you asked me, sir, whether we should rethink the bicameral arrangement that is in this country. The truth again is, the draft that we drew here in Bomas had the Senate as the upper house and the House and the National Assembly as the lower house. So we, the technicians, thought that that's how a bicameral legislature should work. It is the politicians who reversed the order. And in fact, it was very interesting because I remember people like my late friend and colleague, the Honorable Mutula Kilonzo, who was among those who were opposed to the arrangement in Bomas, the Honorable Kembi Gitura, another friend of mine, they were opposed to that. And later, they went to the Senate and found that there wasn't the work that they had gone there to do. And they wanted us to find a way, now I was in government with them, of finding work for the Senate that was equal to the status of the Senate. So this is an issue that we can, depending on how widely we want to open the reform process, it is an issue that can usefully be revisited. I personally always conceived of the Senate as the house where our more senior politicians, more experienced, much more, diplomatic, politicians would be sitting as a house of elders and so on. In fact, in some countries, this upper chamber is not wholly elected, so that it allows, for example, this is a very self-serving example. So, say a professor who has now retired from public service to sit there and comment on bills and so on. So I agree that it is an issue that we can look into. You asked me about if we were to reduce constituencies, are we not disenfranchising people? They were used to being called Kiambu constituency, Kajiado constituency, and now it covers a whole area. I think as long as the resources are available for distribution, I don't think that people would necessarily be seriously concerned. I come from a constituency, not where we are now, and I am not very sure where it reaches to the north. I don't know how far it reaches to the south. I do know that I am here, I have a member of parliament, and I'm happy. If tomorrow I was told Westlands has been added to your constituency, I am not sure I relate specifically to the loss. If there is efficiency, I think we want members of parliament to be capacitated. It's the resource question. If the MP has the resources to look after the I don't think wananchi worry so much whether they are next to each other or further away from each other. This cost of living issue, Your Excellency, this is we keep going round with it because essentially it's a resource issue. I think I personally have come to accept the fact that the government has no money of its own. The government has no money of its own. The government has only money raised through taxation, through borrowing, and through gifts. And we have a very complicated problem where I hear the public say, and it's a very important argument, stop taxing. Stop taxing. Kenyans usually also use the word stop overtaxing. Then they say stop borrowing. So stop borrowing and stop taxing and increase spending. Now that is an impossibility. I'm not an economist, but I am a man from the University of Life, and I know that in the University of Life, if you don't tax and you do not borrow and you have not been gifted by somebody, then you don't have it. So we must cut our cloth to fit our resources. I don't believe that we can tax ourselves out into progress. But I do think that the only thing that you can be certain as a human being is death and taxes. Those, they have to be. Now, without making light of that very important question, I think that there are tax policies, and I hear everybody around this room who is saying that tax policies must be stable. If they are not stable, an investor, and I personally worry
All constituencies that we have in Kenya. And we just saw a couple of weeks ago, of course, there was a suggestion as well as also a proposal to increase the number of counties actually in the country. But now Gido is saying that whether you increase the number or not, people won't even, like whether you increase the number, people won't really notice, But as long as there are resources that are there and are available for the people, then number one, the numbers should be reduced. He also stated that a couple of seats should be scraped out, including the woman rep seat, stating that it is actually too expensive, or there's too much expenditure with that when it comes to the Kenyans. So we can just touch slightly on that before we go into the taxation, and also what he talked about when it comes to the political parties in Kenya. Do you think it's viable for the number of constituencies to be reduced in Kenya? Will it really make a difference in Kenya?
At times we even wonder when a key leader in a country has seen the challenges we have undergone since independence.
No.
And you find that instead we should have more constituencies being created.
Why?
That's a threat first to devolution. Second is a threat to third gender rule. Now, when you want to say that we remove again the issue of women rep, something that has tried at least to sort out the third gender rule in our country. If we go back just before 2010, we used to have few constituencies. You find that the square kilometer, the one MP rules, even it does not know some villages. Our area MP does not even know that this is my territory. And these ones, again, you find that the amount of money that you're getting from the national government into CDF kitty is the same. So you cannot say that having a lot of population in your constituency, getting the same funds with people from other areas, in as much as you can having a large geographical area, but the population is very few. So you cannot use this as a logistics to say that we need to reduce again. If we reduce, meaning that the population per constituency is going to be high, the amount that's being created for each constituency is the same. Now you find that there are constituencies that developed long time ago. There are constituencies that have almost everything. Good roads, schools are developed, and again they get the same amount of money during the allocation. So to Professor Gitu, I think he is getting it wrong, unless there's someone using him to bring this idea so as to be a threat again. When few leaders, what you do, you're able to manipulate them as you want. But we want to have many leaders. Like now, we've seen how the milestone that evolution has done in the counties. People have developed. Some wards, if you go today, they have improved because of devolution. So again, when you want to tell us that you want to reduce the number of constituencies, we wonder, why should we reduce when we want to add the big constituencies that need to be subdivided? You go to how do you call it? There's a constituency in Kenya that has few people, but it's a lot of money. So I don't think if this is the right way to go. But what we need to do is even to subdivide the constituencies more. Like now, when we talk about marginalized counties, they are marginalized because they were left behind during the 2010 constitution. So when the new constituencies were being created up, some constituencies had to be marginalized in hopes that as we move forward, the IEBC was to sort out the marginalized areas. Now, when you find up to today, they are still marginalized. It's a very big trouble to those counties. They struggle a lot.
But what about the sorry? What about the expenditure bit, though?
Expenditure. What are some of the ways that the government raises expenditure?
Expenditure or money?
Expenditure is to use what you have looked for. Yeah.
Most definitely. As Give even put it, number one definitely has to be through the common monetary taxation.
Yes. So when you bring the taxes on Kenyans only for the benefit of the few, why the majority to still be marginalized. You know, what we want is that we want to at least avoid marginalized areas. We want to avoid areas that have not seen development, and at least they have development. That's the main reason of creating more seats. We are not creating seats for an MP to come and be in that office. You know, when you bring up a constituency, first you are opening up a bank account for the DF for that area. Instead of being dependent, a big constituencies, you are having now a smaller territory whereby you are able to govern. So the majority who are marginalized are here, poor students. They need bursaries. How do you get them? By giving them an extra constituency, so that instead of using the 100 million kitty being catered for constituency to serve maybe two constituencies, one constituency, and now to serve two constituencies. So by this, we want to reduce the cases of marginalized poor students. We want to have the elderly being registered, able to be found out. So when we want to bring this threat, by no, it cannot be passed in parliament. If they are real politicians, the members of parliament, hey, you know how many politicians lost their seats because of not supporting revolution? Many. What if that today you are MP, maybe Westland constituency, and you vote that you don't need it to be subdivided? Do you think the residents are going to be happy with you? They will knock out. That will be your end of political career. So instead, for you to extend, it's better now you support it, so that we can have more subdivisions. So that if chances then, if you want to remain in politics, you will have a smaller area that you'll be able to control as an MP, or anyone else can. So he's pointing out on the issues of taxation and whatever. That is not a constituency thing. For your information, constituencies does not create money. Actually, what they do is that they get money from national government, and some allocation from county. Actually, county government does not come to constituencies. The county government gives money to the ward development fund, which has not been created. So ward levels and the MCAs are able to deliver only at the mercy of the executive of the county. But other things you cannot do. That's why the MCAs are finding it hard to deliver. First, they don't have a ward fund. You are unable to deliver without money. And number two, you know how many funerals we attend?
Very many.
And the most, the politicians who is too close with people is the area of MCA. Yeah? You are in the same town, same territory of the county, so people must find you more easily than the area MP. Area MP can run to Nairobi and hide somewhere and says, I'm very busy. MPs have other allowances to travel the world. So when again you want to tell us now that you reduce the constituencies, you're bringing more harm to the development in the ground. Yeah.
And it's a question that it's a point that I'd also love some interaction, or we'd also appreciate some interaction from you guys to tell us what you take on the reduction of constituencies, or the increment of constituencies in Kenya. Do you feel like increasing the constituencies was probably will ensure that there is effective leadership, as well as effective development, as well as effective governance to you in your area? Or it's also a waste of time, or should there be a reduction in the number of constituencies because there's too much expenditure that is going round, and of course at the end of the day yote yatoka kwenye mfuko yako, as a taxpayer. Now Give also touched on retaining fidelity to national parties that you belong to. So according to him, and I think this is in regards to what has been happening in ODM, and other political parties. So he emphasized that if you are elected under a certain party, if you are ousted from the party, or if you are removed from the party, then, as you stated over and over, you should resign, and there should be a by-election immediately to choose a different leader, or to choose a leader again, because now that means that you are no longer for that political party that you are elected through. So obviously a question that we always ask out here is, now, were you electing the political party, or were you electing the leader. And is that something that should be viable? Because we have seen the kind of grounds that politicians are being ousted for or being dismissed for, as well as expelled for from parties because of very, I'd call them minor things. So is that something that is should be happening? Should they, like, immediately you're ousted from the party, just like, yeah, I'm stepping down? The likes of Akina Jalang, you say, I'm stepping down from this seat. It's open now. I'm resigning. So let's go back to the table. Turudi kwa mwenye kura, si ndio mwenye kupiga kura ndio we see who is going to be the leader, because now you are no longer associated to this particular political party.
You know, Tomara, a political party and an individual one thing. So they complement each other. You're an individual, yes. But which party did you use?
Let's say
so
ODM.
Maintaining the fidelity to the political party is always rule number one. First, you must subscribe to its functions. You must subscribe to its funding system. So every month, depending on which political seat you are, you have monthly subscription to this political. So the political party can be getting funds to run its projects and other things, even to recruit more members. Now, when you find that what happens actually matters with the fidelity of the political party is that politics of our country keeps on changing. The policy for our country this year cannot be the policy next year. So for you to remain relevant, you'll be trying to push over and see where will you be sorted out. That's what happens. Now you find out that things and opportunities today will change. The interests today of the government will change. They might not be the same as to the election time. Now, like talking about ODM and Azimio at large, their priority maybe was not to have bipartisan talks, but you've been pushed, or you found out that the bipartisan talks are the way to go. So the agenda at the moment is the one you sort out first. You don't go back to tell us what we agreed in 2022. No, that one will be irrelevant politically. So for you to be relevant politically, you must keep on moving with the current political wind of the day. So if today politicians are camping at State House, who are you to be keeping far from State House for UDA? Because you will end up your political career without knowing. Because here, what's being done, first, they are creating political leaders for tomorrow. So when they are being made, and every politician is ambitious, that's why you've had someone who's an MP is thinking about becoming a governor. That's why someone who's a governor wants to be a president. So for, I think 98% of Kenyan politicians are ambitious for the next political step. So, and again, they have now started working out for 2027 politics. So you cannot keep quiet now that you want to tell us you'll plan yourself come 2027. You'll have failed. Because failure to plan is planning to fail. So what happens here, you'll be doing other things for your party as you're playing your cards in the next move in the coming general election. So what Professor Kula have said is that it's good to remain relevant to your political party as you look out for other ways to move on with your political career.
Okay, most definitely. And now we move on. So what happened during the 2022 general elections? That is a question that we are asking ourselves till date, because we saw that the final results, that is the presidential results, were announced in two different regions by different commissioners. We saw what happened at the Bomas of Kenya when the presidential results were being announced. Now, of course, the bipartisan talks are ongoing. That is what is currently trending. That is what is currently happening. And the IEBC commissioners were actually expected to were invited to turn up to give out their presentations to the bipartisan team or the bipartisan committee. And of course, we saw the likes of Cherera, among other chairpersons, turn up and give their presentation, as well as give their side of the story. Now, let's just listen in on what was happening there, and then we'll be right back to see what also Wafula Chebukati gave as a message to the bipartisan team.
I'm certain you may know all the members of this National Dialogue Committee, so we'll not go back to the introductions. If anything, we did that, and I'm sure you are following us. We have just changed the model. Before Commissioner Nyang'aya finishes, we hear from you because of the technological challenges that may keep popping up. So we'll ask you in a few minutes to have your take, then we'll resume to what was. Is Commissioner Masit on? Commissioner Masit is muted.
Thank you, co-chairs and the Honorable Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to be invited to give our recommendations.
Sorry, I'm on, eh? Sorry, my other channel. Tell them I'm on. Sorry, thank you.
Karibu, Commissioner Masit. Cherera, you may continue.
Thank you.
We did submit a written memorandum to the committee, and we stand by that. We only want the good of the commission and our country. What we as the 4 commissioners were taken through is not something that we wish any other commissioner, when appointed, to be taken through what we went through. So in the good faith of our country, we want the next generation of commissioners at IEBC be people that will be handled with integrity that it deserves. And their voice will not be shut down, because as commissioners, we were there in the kitchen. We know what happened. Some of these things need to be spoken in a safe space. Commissioners, past and every generational commissions, and even to make it wider, the constitutional commissions that are there, they have something to give back to our country. Having commissioners and chasing them away, we lose a lot of the investment that the country puts on them. We only wish that we can have a safe space to talk about these things.
Recording in progress.
So that any other commissioner that is employed at IEBC will not be there just because of the salary, but will be there to ensure that things are done right and integrity is preserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cherera. Commissioner Masit. She disappeared again. Commissioner Masit. Is she the one in steps? Yes. She muted again. Text her if she's somewhere.
Okay.
Hello?
Can we ask you a question before you disappear? Maybe you hear Commissioner
I think
Masit.
Masit is back.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you
We
now,
can hear
Masit.
you, Masit.
You can hear me?
We can hear you. If you don't mind, if you can touch your
thank you.
video icon.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's the wind where I am. And thank you, Bipartisan Committee. Thank you, all members, for giving us this opportunity. I want to just say a few words because, as you know, I still have a case in court. I have appealed at the Human Rights and Constitutional Court on my removal, and some things are being canvassed in court. But I want to say in brief, what was done in Bomas was not verification and tallying of elections. When we were announcing, all of us, what we were announcing were handwritten summaries, which were to be taken, to be typed, and to be brought back for commission, and each commissioner to check what they had written and what they had been typed, if it is in order. It went one way. Two, when the results came, it came only in 3 pages. And it was a summary in counties which exceeded 100%. That's where the dispute started from. How could we announce results which are over 100% and we have not been given Form 34C or summaries we wrote from constituencies, to confirm whether what we announced and what had been typed is the same. Up to today, we've never seen from 34C. Again, what happened in Formless, we had not finished even announcing 27 constituencies. The screen was technically put up for Kenyans not to see what was going on.
Things is this really the right platform to highlight or to try and what happened during the 2022 general elections announcement?
You know, we should even forget that.
Mm-hmm.
We should be focusing on development now.
No.
Because the more we want to dwell in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
the more we are going to lose in all other countries.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's good to come back, look at issues, and see where to go, how to move as a country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you find out that as a country, when we dwell more about IEBC, even a year after election, want to return us back to the pain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kuna watu hadi leo hawajaipona.
Most definitely,
Huh?
yes. For various reasons,
There are
yes.
people up to today
Mm-hmm.
hawajaipona sababu ya hii maneno ya
Elections.
elections.
Mm-hmm.
So when you bring up and now even return us to the next that you're like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but as a country again, we want to do that we're moving on, better on, even to continue.
So, of course, earlier on, we saw that is the former IEBC chairperson, that is Wafula Chebukati, state a couple of things, and I'll just let Emmanuel continue from there.
Again, Chebukati not attending these wonderful bipartisan talks that he has been invited now and then, to be told on how to give his remark on what happened in 2022 and how he came up. By not attending, means he understands what to do as a chairman for IEBC and how he will keep on moving as these terms actually comes to the end, so as to give room for others to come in. So let Kenyans and relax about the pain of the 2022 elections, and it can be even a tool that can be changing to be the talk of the day. So the looking of it, it's going to be talked in the Parliament. Actually, key roles where Chebukati should go is either the upper house or the lower house. I'm 100% sure that he will not fail to go there. But the bipartisan talks, you know, they, as much they seem to be official, from another side they are not official, because official things are done in the Parliament, not at the Bomas of Kenya. Bomas is the area for maybe public participation and a dialogue on a way to draft what should be done in Parliament. So let those who have expertise in things to do with IEBC keep on looking the roadmap, that we see the mistakes that IEBC did in 2022 to be rectified in the coming elections, so as we're going to avoid complaints from any party. We want to have a country whereby you accept the results once they are being said and being sorted out country.
Most definitely. And we saw like some of the reasons. I was just looking at Chebukati's Twitter earlier on, when he wrote, or he tweeted to Professor Abdi Gule as well as Molu Boya, stating that he tweeted that Professor Abdi as well as Molu and him won't be attending or appearing before the National Dialogue Committee to discuss issues that have been resolved, number one. Stating that to participate would be to betray IEBC staff who were tortured and murdered and reward for impunity. Instead, a commission of inquiry should be formed. Should that be the case?
Yeah, actually, it should be formed.
Mm-hmm.
At times we need to 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 bring development even more close to anything, because the more you prune a tree, it's going to give you the best fruit. So when you leave it with a lot of branches, the fruit, even it's come, it will spoil.
No.
So when you have such development and looking what happens, how to change, they will give out the best results at the end.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And we're also looking forward to that. So, guys, to our viewers, what's your take on the Commission of Inquiry being formed instead of having the IBC commissioners come to the bipartisan team to represent or to present the proposals, as well as stating what happened? Because you know that IEBC is top of the table on the discussions that are happening at the Bomas of Kenya, among other issues as well. And also, is that the right place to be discussing what happened during the 2022 general elections, or trying to seek justice for what happened during the 2022 general elections, or other avenues should also be sought other than what is happening at the Bomas of Kenya? Now, when you talk about accountability as we move on, now, some time back we saw an audit report of Baringo County stating that their ghost workers have been paid over 272 million shillings. And yesterday, I believe, during the previous video that we did with Emmanuel, we also talked about a teacher who is being paid how much? 250 million?
250 million.
250 million.
Teacher.
Yeah, an ECD
It's
teacher.
in public. Actually, Kenyans know.
Being paid 250.
How can that be a computer error? Honest. Huh?
For every single month.
And when we do investigations, that we find this teacher is a relative to one of the key politicians in the county.
Inaitwa kujifikiria. Kujifikiria. Anyway, so the same thing is happening in Kisii County. Of course, you remember pretty well back in 2022, as soon as the election results were announced and Simba Arati got or took charge of the county, an audit was done. And when the audit was done, there are a couple of people or a couple of workers who did not turn up for the audit. Now, Kisii County apparently had stopped payment of salaries for the 740 staff who had failed to turn up during the staff headcount exercises that were conducted, of course, last year. That is in Kisii County, as I stated earlier on, when Simba was actually gained power. Now, of course, the Kisii governor denied the claims of firing. That is the total of 740 county employees, of course, for failure to turn up during the auditing exercises. Now, in a press statement, of course, Arati stated that the employees are required to actually explain their failure to appear or their absence from the headcount that was happening, as well as the audit that was happening, stating that, of course, the Human Resource Department had stopped the payment of these 740 employees, which, of course, that's a huge number, and of course, it's causing a lot of unrest as well in the county. Now, so number one, of course, we have been talking a lot about corruption, embezzlement of funds. We've been talking about nepotism. We've been talking about trying to fight all this. And we've been talking about accountability, as well as trying to do audits of county governments, as well as, yes, of county governments, to see how much money is spent, where is it spent on, and also trying to, as much as possible, eliminate the amount of money that is being spent on ghost workers, Now, is it the same for this particular county, this 740 people? That's such a huge number to have as, I quote, ghost workers in a county.
You'd be surprised. They can be ghost workers. You can be surprised. We live in a country where anything is possible.
That number is huge.
And if that could be the case in Kisii County, then how it could be to all counties in our country. So bad. But who employs these ghost workers? Who employs ghost workers?
We need to know.
How does this money go to their accounts? So this is what should be done. First, you've identified. You've done a great job. You've identified that in your county, you have 740 ghost workers who did not turn up. So again, you can be having some guest workers who turned up.
Oh, yes.
You
Not
can
pictured
have,
in that way, yeah.
It's possible that you will have ghost workers who turned up. Now, you have the list of those who did not turn up, but they want to be paid. Now, they are taking you to court. So if they take you to court as a governor, and it's going to be realized that they are not ghost workers, you're going to face it. They want to work out for your impeachment very soon, and even the change of political career. But again, if now you find that they are real ghost workers, take them to court. Get to the roots. Who employed them? Were employed in this and this department, this and this particular day, by this and this company, by this and this docket from the county. Maybe it's the department for sports, maybe the department for tendering. This is how we got employment to a county. This is how we've been earning our salary. You know, at times what we have as a country is that we don't want to, in as much we want to fight corruption, everyone have to have a fair hearing. So if you come and find me employed, do you want to tell me I'm a ghost worker? I'm employed. I have the right, every the document that's required for me to be employed. Not that now you know who first I was employed before you came.
No.
It's only a transition that's happening. The former governor who could have employed me is no longer here. But according with our job arguments, ours was maybe pensionable. Our job was short term. You know, we have short term jobs, long term jobs. And again, you've now come after transition in the elections. Now, first, take time to study and follow the procedures that's being laid out by the guidance of the devolution, how a governor comes in to employ. You don't come, now that you are a new governor, you say that everyone is a ghost worker, you send everyone home, keep blaming that everyone is a ghost worker, and then come with your new people. No, that's not the way to go. If a country like William Ruto is a president, when he came, things were still in system. Security was were everywhere. The finance was working. People were still being employed when we never had a president for almost 2 months. So you should see that there's a problem with leadership in that county. The governor is saying that people are ghost workers. The senator is saying they're not ghost workers. So we expect much to unfold with the time. Remember, they have gone to Senate twice. The senator taking a governor to the these are the same people who campaigned the same time, won an election. So the senator anachukua governor kwa Senate, akuja kujibu. Governor anakuja anashindwa kujibu, anapeana rumors. No, it's very bad.
But we're looking forward to seeing accountability kwa sababu wanasema penye moshi hapakosi moto.
Yeah, so that's why we're saying that we expect much. Yeah. So these are two-way traffic. We can find that there could be many ghost workers.
More even than the 740.
You know, the thing here is they did not show up. So there could be other ghost workers who showed up. And by the way, who's a ghost worker?
Someone who is just there. You know, the positions that you are just there. You don't do nothing, but at the end of the month, you get paid. Okay. No.
So we need we want to wait and see what will be happening. And that's, we move on.
Yeah, most definitely. And that is what we are looking forward to. And most definitely we are going to be giving you feedback of what is happening out here, because according to the governor, he's clearly put his foot down, stating that he is not going to allow corruption as well as irregular payment of ghost workers. And of course, we are seeing a lot of this happening in different counties in the country, where the fight against corruption, the fight against embezzlement of funds, the fight against misuse of public resources, as well as misuse of just resources, is something that is trying to be fought. Now, most definitely, we are also looking forward to what is going to come out of the bipartisan talks, because we only have 1 month and a few weeks left before the team presents their findings as well as the final report. And we're looking forward to see what is going to happen out of that, because mambo yanachemka huku nje. And yes, the talks are there, Zikomoto. We don't know if they are going to be fruitful. And I pose a question to you guys, asking you as well, do you think that these talks are a waste of time, or we actually going to bear some good fruits from it? What are your thoughts on it? So that has been our time, of course, with Emmanuel Bosire, as usual. Thank you so much for always gracing us with your presence physically as well as your brains. And to your viewers, thank you so much for giving us company as well as allowing us to keep you company. And most definitely, that is it for KNA Political Table. We are going to see you in the next video. Be safe, stay safe, peace, love, and unity prevail. Goodbye.